the podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Let's get some thoughts off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Clint, Gus, Brennan, you can add to the chat line as well. Sooner in Lubbock said, what a way to end the bottom line. Agreed. Clint is upset about the Kansas loss to Kansas State. That was gross. Paolo confirmed that it was for the Dallas Cowboys.
Not the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Yeah.
Well, both had road losses, so I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Probably bore clarification, right?
For Macy Blackburn, it was one of the greatest shots ever. That on the chat line.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Beautiful.
0-1 Baylor would be a favorite against 2025 Oklahoma State.
Yeah, dang sure with the quarterback scenario they had on Saturday.
Obviously, the bigger news coming out of the weekend, Gus, not just that you picked up another win, but obviously Hammond done for the year, tearing the ACL. Also, you would think that's going to maybe affect some decision-making when you get to the portal and when you get to the off season.
Yep.
Very curious to see what that looks like. And, part of it, I've seen like, hey, why didn't we go spend all this money on a portal quarterback this year? Well, one, you believed in Behren Morton. Still do, by the way. He's officially going to be back.
Also, didn't want to disrupt Will Hammond, like his path to starting.
Yeah, but
I think that's why they all went and got Mitch Griffis for exactly what happened this past Saturday.
You knew your quarterback tier coming into the season, right? Mm-hmm. But the other thing, too, and this is what I will say for the upcoming portal season, and I know we're a ways away from there, is like, okay, but who's available that either you actually want? Because, like, the biggest names in the portal this year would have been Carson Beck, no thanks, and Nico Yamaleva, who also, no thanks. That's just me. I mean, other people can differ on that. And I think Fernando Mendoza winds up being a gem, right? He transferred this year to Indiana.
Yep.
And so there's like an unheralded gem. But did anybody have like that down as a big success? I would venture to guess probably no. But I think the biggest thing is you believed in Behren Morton, and if you believe that he can come and be a shot in the arm, a much-needed shot in the arm for the offense, in my opinion, then the good news is you're getting it in a week where you're going to a place that you haven't won since 2008. Manhattan, Kansas.
Yep. And that, I guess it was Coach McGuire talked about that today. It is media availability. Like, yeah, these kids don't know that. Mm-hmm. I guess that unless they read it or somebody tells them that, they don't really care about that stuff. Mm-hmm. That wonky stuff happened years ago and a close loss up there or whatever. I just don't think, and I also don't think that it matters. I don't want to sit here and act like they understand the tradition, blah, 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 on the good side and then are ignorant about it on the bad side. I just don't think that, kids these days process that stuff and sit around reading media guides and
that's more. I'm with you. I think that's more for the fans, especially
Absolutely
like when you bring in like you said like a David Bailey or Romello Height, who that's not been on their radar for not even like the 8-game losing streak that you're on. They're not paying attention to that.
No,
and that's been one of the fun things about this team. Is in a lot of ways they've already broken like some of the trends that for some reason we think are just baked into the program, at least under Joey McGuire. Now, has it been perfect? No, you can go back to obviously Arizona State. You're not perfect because of that game. And also, it's crazy. I was with the portion of the fan base that was like 42-0 was great. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't like an overall A-plus performance by any means. Special teams, outside of the, it gets knocked just slightly because you had a missed extra point and a missed field goal. But overall, that was a huge difference maker for you, clearly, with the block punt, touchdown. And then defense, clearly an A+, just choked the life out of a bad Oklahoma State team. But the offense, again, is it as simple as plugging in Behren Morton? I would like to think so, but I don't know, because your offensive line seems to have regressed the past couple of weeks. They didn't play together, certainly in this one. I mean, just 88 rushing yards is something that just is not going to get it done against some of the better teams.
Yeah, it's kind of wonky because 2 weeks ago against Kansas, it was all run and no pass in terms of the success.
And just wide open lanes, too.
Yes, and just 360 yards rushing, whatever that number was. Cam Dickey had an insane night. And last week, perfectly willing to give ASU a lot of credit. This week, there's no logical deal to that. 40 rushes for 88 yards, two yards to carry. That's not going to cut it.
And specifically against this Oklahoma State team that has just been getting
not very
manhandled.
Yes.
Yeah, shorthanded, young.
Yeah, that there was no ability to really impose their will on that OSU team in terms of running the ball. That's the part that's concerning, and you're exactly right. But, yeah, I think Oklahoma State got across the I'm looking at the drive chart. I think they crossed the 50-yard line twice. So,
yeah,
dominant performance offensively. Their deepest penetration was to the 31, literally on the play where it was snatched out of their hands, and that was their deepest penetration. So, we've gotten our hands on so many punts this year. I mean, Clint, we've gone years around here without getting our hands on one punt a year, and every week there's been something like that. It's remarkable. And one of the things that we had talked about coming out of spring and just the conversation around the elevated level of talent was it's going to make special teams better because there are some good athletes and some good players who aren't on the field in necessarily the too deep, but who can really play and who are good athletes and who are waiting their turn at fill in the blank position that are all in on that special team situation. It also keeps us in some ways, in many respects, keeps some starters out of harm's way, keeps their snap counts manageable. They're not also having to then go back and return punts after, running around on a 10-play drive or whatever. And I think these Cats have been some kind of special this year on special teams. They haven't been perfect. I'm not trying to say that, but we just have gone we've gone long stretches around here without getting hands on punts. And now it's like every other week. I'm not saying they're all double thump running back for touchdowns, but just hands on punts. It's crazy. And then you throw in some return game this weekend with that kickoff.
We not only did we get our shutout, and I was afraid we weren't going to get it just because of lack of just availability to be able to do it, with Quentin Johnson being hurt at the start of the year, and Jacoby Williams, it seemed like, his kick return opportunities are going to be dwindled just because it makes sense, right? You're going to have to move different guys with injuries, but we got our Jacoby Williams touchdown return too.
Yep, and I was super happy for Mitch Griffis. What a cool story that is, and he played his tail off, and that was exactly the moment he was brought in for. And I was also fired up that Holden Phillips got his name in the scorecard. Yeah. And not just getting to take some snaps, but threw a pass, completed it. He's in the stats forever.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk, hour number 3 here on Double T 97.3.
3?
Huh?
Hour number 3?
Oh. I was trying to fast forward. My bad. Didn't mean to. Hour number 2.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear it,
pal.
I didn't even hear it. I'm tired of you guys. I'm out of here. Hour number 2 of 3. That's what I meant. Here on Double T 97.3. You can hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. Clint, Gus, and a very snippy Brennan Riker back there. If you are on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you can follow us. Just look up Double T 97.3. Let's get another thought here on the chat line. Why can't our O-line be better? It needs to be moving forward. Here's what's funny, Gus. I
think that question was asked of the offensive coordinator. There may be some good audio for tomorrow, Clint.
Yeah, you've had some good outings. You've had some really good outings.
Yeah.
And then now you've had less than stellar outings. And so to me, it's the consistency. It's not the talent. The talent is clearly there. I don't know if this was you thought you could just go out and dominate Oklahoma State, and I don't know if that unit just slept all week in practice or what. But pass protection was good. That was good. But you just did not blow them off the ball. You didn't really control the line of scrimmage. But it's not like you don't have a bad offensive line, but it's been inconsistent.
Yeah, and
sure.
Joey was asked that, and offensive coordinator was asked that, and I think Leftwich and I think those are fair questions, and that group will probably be challenged this week.
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna have a big test specifically with run blocking against this Kansas State team you're about to see, and on the road, and that unit clearly needs to have a good day. I think you're the more talented. I think so Kansas State is a very odd team to me because they started out just horrible, right? I don't think the offense has gotten leagues better for the Wildcats. What's gotten better is, one, their defense is starting to turn over people left and right.
Yep.
They cause pressure. I wouldn't say they're the best pressure team in the Big 12, but they are able to cause pressure, and then their run defense has gotten much better. And so it's like the offense has gotten slightly better for them, but it's not just like tearing it up. And when you're seeing these big numbers, like they have back-to-back games where they've scored more than 40 points, well, it's because they keep forcing turnovers.
Sure.
3 turnovers against TCU, 4 against Kansas. If you add in a special teams turnover, they're starting to win in ways that Kansas State has won games forever. So that's something where, okay, well, how do you beat a team like that? Well, one, your offensive line cannot get obliterated.
No.
It also can't just be consistently when you do try to run the ball, it's just not moving at all.
Yeah, it can't be 2nd and 9 all day long.
Yeah.
And hopefully starting quarterback will help with some of that presence and just the ability to check into better plays and do some of those things that come with just having a veteran back there. But, I mean, I don't want to say it's inexcusable, but it felt like the early part of this game was so easy, with the kick return and then the punt block and a little check down that goes for 30 yards and touchdown. Like, man, we got to lay it around here, and this is easy. And then you drop a touchdown pass midway through the second quarter.
Yeah, there was some less than stellar things other parts of the offense too.
And it felt like there was just that stretch right there that we the Red Raiders just were sort of playing with our food in there, probably, I don't want to say distracted, but just so comfortable in the game flow here that the extra strain of got to make this block, got to get this first down. It's like, oh, we're going to be fine. Defense is dominating. So some of that was some I don't know, lax. That's no excuse. That's just me saying they probably didn't play with as much edge as they felt like they, will need this weekend for sure. Yeah. And hopefully that thing gets tightened up in a similar way that ASU was challenged before they played us. Now that they got their tails kicked, but our offensive side of the ball, is probably going to be challenged by the fact that this wasn't that great of a performance.
Yeah, it's like you were never in danger of losing that game to Oklahoma State, even when the offense is stalling out halfway through the first quarter, into the first quarter, through halfway through the second quarter. But it was just like you kept on waiting for things to look clean offensively. And again, like you said, it wasn't just the run game. I mean, you have, let's see, you have the dropped touchdown a couple of plays before you have the injury on the scramble.
Yep.
You have another one where Hammond is looking over, just like against TCU last year, and just drops the ball for a fumble. You have another fumble on a handoff where I'm not sure if Dickey just never had it or if he did have it and he just whatever. There was some weird things that you never really took off offensively. Now, the brightest spot to me on the offensive side of the ball was Mitch Griffis coming in, and again, wasn't like elite or anything like that, but he just came in and ran the offense.
Yes,
it was also just genuinely fun to watch him come in and enjoy his
and that
having success on the field.
He was signed for that moment right there.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that in some broad, blur your eyes kind of view, but we think about going to BYU 2-3 years ago and playing up there with Jake Strong, a true freshman, an under quarterback, as the third string quarterback, and that game getting away from us for that reason. And it's like, hey, we can't do that again. So they go get Jake Strong. I mean, they go get Griffis with this unique career story of being a guy who was laying concrete this time last year. Bring him in and say, hey, you're here for depth. We're not trying to get you to come in and beat anybody out, but be ready to go. And danged if he wasn't. And, the moment wasn't too big for him. He controlled things. Led us on 2 touchdown drives in the second quarter. Second half, took care of the football. Great job. Great story.
What did you think of the whip celebration there? Throwing it old school.
I loved it.
He really
I'm trying to send
really
it to,
got it in there.
Been trying to send that to my daughter, trying to find the right angle of it.
There was no nay after it, but we got the first part.
It was awesome.
It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Welcome back to Tech Talk. You got us on Double T 97.3. We'll go up to 6 o'clock today. At that time, it is Monday Night Football.
Getting closer to hour number 3.
Getting closer to hour number 3.
One might say.
Kansas City versus Washington tonight. Brennan has our play of the day.
Seawald in his 5th big league season now faces Seeger.
Could tie it with one swing. High drive! It's tied!
This one is history. A 2-run homer, and Seawald has his first blown save of the postseason. The first run scored off him, and it's a new game in the bottom of the 9th.
El Bombi would love a bomb right here to end game 1.
One out here in the bottom of inning number 11.
Sends one the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall, and the legend grows. Adolis Garcia wins game 1.
My goodness, he's done it again. The Rangers are awaiting Adolis at home plate. He throws off the helmet, leaps into the pile.
Adolis Garcia was made for these moments.
And the Rangers have won it 6-5.
On this day in 2023, Texas Rangers take Game 1 of the World Series against the Diamondbacks, set the tone there in the series. Corey,
One that we played earlier.
I'm sorry, I didn't even turn your mic on.
Hey, turn his mic on.
Well, it was.
Who's messing up now, Brennan?
It was tied the game in the 9th home run, like your Alex Gordon. It wasn't just any home run in the 6th inning to tie it up. That was in the 9th to extend the game.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Bullfighter. As soon as that play hit, boo! I was like, oh man, I thought you were a Rangers fan. That's crazy. Good play. You just made all the Rangers fans listening very, very happy.
A tear from my eye just fell.
What have you thought about the start to this year's edition of the World Series there, Gusser?
2 very different games. Somebody's going to have to figure out that Dodgers Dodgers pitcher, I mean, how about the 2 complete games, man? How about those these days? And this cat's dealing it in the postseason. But, I mean, that ends up getting to be a little dicey for the Blue Jays because you look over there at his start and go, hey, we can't hand this game, some deciding game. What would that probably be? Game 6, I guess. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It'd probably be a game 6. Maybe back in Toronto if it gets that far, obviously. But, it looks like, hopefully there's some balance to this thing and they keep trading blows and get it to a game 7, just like, you and I are just the sports fans and want to see that kind of thing. But, it's the offense, the Blue Jays offense flexed on Friday night, and then they got to hand it to them on Saturday.
I think it would be, I don't know, to me, as someone who, like you said, is rooting for a Game 7, it would be almost more deflating than a Dodgers sweep for this to go, all right, the Blue Jays have a very exciting way to win Game 1. You're like, oh, okay, all right, we got a series. And then the Dodgers win the next 4 and do the gentleman's sweep. I think that would be even more deflating just to kind of, if you're one like me that thinks that the Dodgers are going to control this series but doesn't want them to.
Right.
That would be even more deflating there. This on the 8th Flooring Center chat line. What about Chubby Jones? So I think I think they really, really like the quarterback room that'll be here, right? Because we know Behren and Griffis are both moving on after this just from lack of eligibility. So you knew you were going to have a younger room, but now you have a younger room that's going to start out injured with your guy. And so I would have.
But remember, Griffis is back next year. He got the extra.
Oh, that's
year.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So maybe.
But you were right. Yeah.
Because the other thing, you're adding another quarterback in this class that you also really, really like. But does that go then if when he's missing time in the spring, is Griffis the number 1? Is it Jones the number 1? Is it splitting time in how does Holden Phillips, how does he fit in the equation for reps and stuff like that? Because like what Stephen Cannon coming in, I think they have a lot of high hopes for. But I'm very interested like how the reps end up getting split up, and I still think that they might look for another older guy in the portal. And there's nothing to stop them from doing that, right? If they feel comfortable and if they like it. I don't think that they would force it.
Right.
But I think that they were going to look there anyways, but I especially think that they will now. But to the question, Jones is going to be in the equation in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. I don't. And the other thing that's a little problematic is, we got one portal time in January, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't get to run this thing and go, hey, let's just see how spring goes. What if Jones is really good in the spring? We're okay. We don't have to worry about it. No, this decision has to be made in January unless I'm missing a loophole here.
Right. No, that's and the other thing too is, does anybody leave from your room?
Right.
Too. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that have to get figured out before you even know like what you need at that spot. But if it lines up with everybody that comes back that has eligibility, I still think that they would take a look at whoever goes into the portal.
I mean, we're right at, with a fairly typical calendar, we're right at the time it would take for him to be rehabbed and ready to go. Mm-hmm. But that wouldn't leave for any spring ball. Obviously, that ship has sailed, and not much summer ball. Not much summer camp. Now you go, well, can we deal with a non-conference schedule? Well, a non-conference schedule, ACU here at Oregon State and home for Sam Houston State. So maybe, but again, do you want to hand the ball to a guy that hadn't been able to do anything for 9 months? And I just don't, as careful as we've been about creating depth scenarios, could totally see them going and getting a one and done guy next year.
Yeah,
especially with the carnage and all these coaching jobs. There's going to be some players floating around out there.
And the other question,
as
because it's something
LSU's coach was fired yesterday.
There is nothing to stop you too, Gust, from going and getting a possible QB1 that's got some eligibility. Like there's a kid over at Cal that a lot of people are high on right now, and I mean I'm not trying to take a shot at Cal or anything, but there has been situations before where they have not kept a quarterback, and he's gone on and had a much better career somewhere else that might have better funding, better backing, better, whoever. And I'm just throwing out him because he's one that people have circled of entering the portal. If there's a guy like that, there's nothing to stop you from getting a guy that can come in to compete at QB1 and have a couple years of eligibility. So, I mean, the first thing is you have to get to the portal and see, again, who enters it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many layers to this, and you remember, I mean, I kept getting texts going, Cody, get out his checkbook. Hey, we've got a $17 million salary cap next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has begun, and so when they had marked out the spreadsheet, probably didn't have let's devote another $1 million to quarterback because you're probably paying Hammond's a lot of money, mm-hmm. And so If you do go get another quarterback, it may cost you the ability to go get a high-end edge rusher. I don't know, however they were going to do that math. Doesn't mean we won't get a good one, but the salary cap is in play here.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hour number 3 of Tech Talk. You get us on Double T 97.3.
What, are you sure?
Pretty sure. DoubleTSportsNetwork.com and the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. We are live from the First United Bank studio. You can join us on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll get some more thoughts and comments here in just a moment. You can also call us on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. If you call that number, you can sing Brendan Riker your favorite nursery rhyme. It'll put him right to sleep. You can watch us on Fox 34 News Now and on YouTube. If you need to find our YouTube page, youtube.com/Double T Sports Network. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just look at Double T 97.3.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I was going to... Nah.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. It doesn't matter how good your backfield is. If your offensive line isn't controlling the line of scrimmage, then the offense stalls and gets beat up. Well, the other thing that is, I don't think Will Hammond had an overly excellent day against Oklahoma State too. I think Behren Morton, at least I'm hoping this will be the case. You'll get some explosiveness back in the passing game. That is something that if you look at Kansas State, the back end, they've struggled with their secondary at times of giving up big plays. And so if that can get going, then it's almost like it can retroact. It opens up in a different way, right? We always talk about, well, your running game is going to open up big plays in the passing game, right? And I still think that your offense has the capability to be that traditional sense, but you've seen teams just in the past 2 weeks just load everything up because, one, your offensive line again hasn't dominated in run blocking, but also I think they've seen some of Will Hammond's struggles as a young quarterback, whether that's reading a defense, patience, whatever it has been against Arizona State, and then at times against Oklahoma State too, even though really in the end we just watch him play a quarter and a half of that game, unfortunately. But Behren Morton, does he come in and bring back some of that, I don't know, the better offense that you saw on early downs? Because that just disappeared from the offense the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, agree. And I think the hope is, yes,
But the offensive line part of that comment, yes, they need to They need to look more like they did. I mean, even against Utah, where it was a stalemate against a really good defensive front.
Right, you can live with that.
Yeah, just get back to that, because that's going to be more of a test than, like, your best game with your offensive line was against Kansas, and that front especially in the past few weeks and in Big 12 play, has just been wrecked and dominated. But you still went out and dominated them, right? Oklahoma State's front had been wrecked and dominated, and that was not the case at all. And so against a better front like Kansas State, where that's the strength, where their defensive front and their couple of linebackers who are, all Big 12 types of some level, whether that's first team or second team, that unit needs to have a good day on Saturday. We'll talk about that plenty this week.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it.
Chris said we will get a transfer senior with some skins to come in, I bet.
Yep. I would think that it very much is a one-and-done type. And again, unless there's some grad transfer loophole or something like that, I think that stuff has to take place just in January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we don't have the later spring portal, right?
Right. Gotta believe QB1 will have to be a target if something is appealing. Yep. Nussmeier has a little brother at Flower Mound that's supposed to be better.
Okay.
You know what's funny?
But I don't know that a freshman is what they're going to do to solve this problem. I don't know, let's go get a high school kid to fix this. Because remember, in 2020, we're going to find out here, I think at the end of the week, this weekend, the number one quarterback in the 2027 class, isn't that commitment coming?
I think that is right.
That date could have changed.
I'll have to go back and double check the date on it.
Yeah, so I again, with that in mind, let's go get Nussmeier's little brother. Well, I mean, if you're trusting your ratings and what's happening here, Nussmeier's not the player that this kid is. Now, again, I'm not proclaiming that from the beat on this table. I'm just saying that if they feel like they got the best one in the country, they're probably done for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, going after...
But again, I think the 2026 quarterback solution is going to be someone who's sort of walking in lake ready.
Right. And what's interesting with this is that's not going to shake the confidence of Will Hammond's future, by the way. It's just the injury puts obviously a massive wrinkle in things. And I think you were going to try to add to that room regardless, but now it feels like you might be ramping up towards someone that you could, lean on as a starter. Or at least compete.
Yeah.
At least
Sure.
compete for the starting job.
With you.
Mm-hmm. That pitching performance by the Dodger pitcher Yamamoto was amazing in Game 2, retiring the last 20 batters to end the game. I believe the Dodgers' starting pitching is so good. And they have this fella named Shohei Ohtani. I'm thinking Dodgers in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think you said Dodgers in 6. I said Dodgers in 5. The Toronto Game 1 win pushed that prediction in your favor there. Because I would need the Dodgers to win 3 straight. Although I'm hoping I'm wrong. Canada's in the danger zone.
Yeah, I hope they trade blows in LA enough that this thing develops some more storylines rather than the Toronto won the first game and then the Dodgers waxed them.
Same.
Yeah, Yamamoto was outstanding. And remember, there was a first and third one out situation early in that game. Maybe first and third, no outs for Toronto, and the crowd was rocking and the whole deal. He pitched out of that thing, and then it was like, okay, boys, you just messed up.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Thank you for making us a part of your Monday, Clint, Gus, and Brennan. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Did you guys see Scadaboo's ankle yesterday? Jeez.
I read about it and specifically did not go seeking that highlight. Oh, no thanks.
I misread the tweet and just saw Scadaboo and got excited to see a Scadaboo highlight. And then I watched the video and then reread what the tweet said, and it said something like, watch his ankle go the wrong direction. And I was like, oh, that was stupid.
That's tough.
Ooh, yeah. This from Charlie Holt. Good to hear from you, Charlie. For Tech versus Kansas State, I hope the coaches will let the running backs run the ball more and Behren runs less and passes more. I don't believe K-State will score 20 points on our defense. Only one team has with Arizona State, and predicting Tech 34, Kansas State 17.
Yeah, I think the avoiding big plays in that. Gee, thanks, Captain Obvious. But I think the K-State, if they get a couple of big monster chunk plays, this game could get dicey. But if they have to drive the field, it leans in our favor. But turnovers are going to be a big part of this thing.
Yeah.
Any kind of wonky special team stuff, which historically has been the kind of thing that K-State has done to beat people. This year, it's been us doing that to everybody. Like every game, it feels like we get our hands on something or get a big return or whatever. Just not giving away possessions, that sort of thing. I mean, and Charlie, we can't do 40 yards for 88 carries. Oh, I'm sorry, 40 carries for 88 yards like we did the other day. I mean, there was very much of an opportunity there to run that game out and just say, run the ball, run out some clock, let's get out of here. And, it was 2nd and 8 all day long. And obviously scored 42 points, dominant shutout win. We're nitpicking here, but that kind of run game.
I'm not sure if it's
especially 2 weeks after like the greatest performance in the history of the world around here.
Gus,
the recent world.
I know you won that game 42-0. I don't think it's nitpicking. I think it's concerning.
I agree.
Because I'd be 100% lying if I said I wasn't nervous about the offense this week, but I'd also be lying if I said I wasn't 100% confident in your defense. This is where, again, I really think it's going to be the coach speak game, because I think this will be lower scoring and a little closer, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully you see just this really efficient offense come out, and also, Behren hasn't played in a couple weeks. We've seen him play well after missing time before. So, unfortunately, that shouldn't be anything new for him, but you have to play clean. And if you play clean, I think you will win this game. If you do things to beat yourself, then that's going to play exactly into what has made Kansas State a solid program for a couple decades now. But the other part is, their offense, they have faced 2 top 50 defenses, Gus. Against those 2 top 50 defenses, they've scored 17 points and 21 points and lost both of them.
That's really
And this is by far the best defense they'll have seen. So you also have to ask, well, how do they respond offensively? And so I love the way your defense travels. I have all the faith in the world in that unit. But your offense just cannot be basically, it can't be Arizona State again.
Yeah,
can't be.
That's a good way to say it. Hopefully, Beren's presence solidifies things, settles things. What's the right way to say it? It'll be interesting to see.
I love the phrase "shot in the arm" because your offense needs some juice right now.
And let's hope that there's just some checkpoints coming out of that game with regard to things like, hey, that game was such a comfortable lead early on. It's like the baseball team that comes out and scores 9 runs in 2 innings and then doesn't score any runs for 3 innings. Like, what are we doing here? Just that everything sort of settles and relaxes a little bit. But our, because this, I don't know how much edge there was. I felt like there was some edge in the certainly early in the second half with Mitch Griffis, coming in and hitting a deep ball there and doing some things, but just it's just hard to really get off a really good offensive game when you're 40 for 88 on the ground. And that's
I will say, were you surprised that I think you could tell having a better look in this game, and we've seen him twice this year in some of the Pine Bluff and Kent State. But seeing a lot more reps with Mitch Griffis, the zip wasn't there quite like what you have with Morton or with Hammond, but he threw some dots, and I'm not trying to pitch it where he's just like, if he had to start a game for some reason, he'd be this like efficient magician or anything, but I loved his mentality. I loved how he came into the game, and I loved that he showed no fear. And there were a couple of passes, one of them that wasn't even caught, one to Caleb, the weird one that went to Caleb Douglas. They called it a catch. It wasn't. They bring it back. You had the touchdown. You had another one that he threw to Micah Hudson. By the way, lots of young guy sightings, which was good to see. Leighton Stone had lots of reps.
Yes.
Oliver Miles had some carries. Adam Hill back on the field, that sort of stuff.
You got some dudes out of harm's way.
That's what you wanted.
Yes.
It turned into the second half like, let's get out of let's score if we can, but let's just get out of Dodge and not do anything dumb in this game.
I would expect to see Will Jados on the injury report. I don't know at what level of severity, but he went to the clubhouse early, and I can't remember. I guess that would have been. I can't remember if that was second half, just leave the game early, or if it was late second quarter, let's go ahead and get to the clubhouse and look at this. But he headed up the ramp. Mm-hmm. And so, and I don't know, I don't recall seeing him again on the field, but that, the offensive lineman swap, that kind of thing, it's hard to follow that as the game flows along. But
you also got a lot of young offensive linemen.
Absolutely. There was a lot of Cleveland.
Past just that.
Yes, a lot of Cleveland in there, and that was good to get him on the field. I mean, I love the way that game came to an end.
Took care of business in the end. It is Tech Talk on Double-T 97.3.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double-T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Ask Tech Talk, did Brennan lock himself out of the producer's room?
That wasn't a technical difficulty. That was a, I don't know what kind of difficulty you would call that, but there was certainly a
door.
There was
mechanical difficulty.
There was definitely one of the. We had one of those moments.
Welcome back to Tech Talk on Double-T 97. Well,
sorry to keep you waiting.
What's our lock count with that door now? Like 7? It's happened a lot for a door that shouldn't actually ever be locked.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. How does it ever get locked in the first place?
That's hilarious. The panic of Brennan running in here. The door's locked.
And here you just look at me like, go figure it out.
I don't have the key.
Why don't you have a key?
I don't. You think they would trust me with something valuable like that?
Well, maybe it's not
Keys.
The fact that it's valuable, but more the fact that Lord knows what you're going to do with those keys.
I'm the only one that has to go through a security check before I even get into the building. Well, so does Choice. This on the chat line. Welcome back to Ask Tech Talk, which is brought to you by Visual Edge IT. Ask Tech Talk. Tell me what are your two must-happen things for Tech to win this Saturday. Win the turnover battle is my number one.
Turnover battle seems big.
Keep Behren upright. Those are my two.
Yeah, that's true. A special team stalemate. And that's not me hoping for a special team stalemate, but that's me saying you can't give up a punt return, you can't get a punt block, can't snap one into the goal post or that kind of stuff. So those two seem big for me, but I think the maybe to differentiate from what you're saying a little bit, I would say minimize a chunk plays. We can't give up 2 60-yard monsters to Avery Johnson or whatever.
And he's gotten this is what's so confusing about Avery Johnson is this year. One, he hasn't threatened as much with his legs, and they've really gone out of their way to not design quarterback runs for him. And this is with or without Dylan Edwards, which, by the way, was reported that they'll be without Dylan Edwards today. So that, I mean, it's not like they don't have another talented running back with Joe Jackson. I think he's been good this year. Mm-hmm. I think they have certainly needed more production out of him than what they had thought with Dylan Edwards. But, again, this is why you add depth just in case, because you never know what position's going to go down, whether it's a star or not. And I think Joe Jackson has done a really good job with Dylan Edwards playing, I think, in 4 games total, and really you could say 3 because Iowa State, he was out the first play. But they haven't ran it much with Avery Johnson as far as just designed runs, or at least to the extent that you'd think that they would. And he scrambled here a little bit, but there's been times where Avery Johnson has, had just, holy cow, what a great throw. And then he's also had a bunch of plays where you go, holy cow, what was that throw? And he has tried to push the ball downfield. The approach has confused me at times, and I think he can beat you. I think he can also just be very inaccurate, and it just depends literally not even on the game, Gus. It depends on the play. And Jace Brown is a really, really good receiver. They've got another one, too, in – I just blanked on his name. Jerron Tibbs. And then they have a really good tight end with Garrett Oakley. And so they also have the ability to spread it around from a couple of guys. But I'm with you. You just you can't have breakdowns in the secondary. And if you are going with some one-on-one opportunities, you can't lose them. And it also starts with you got to put pressure on Avery Johnson. And that's what he hasn't handled well this year. And some of, against Kansas, they almost had no pressure, especially on a couple of the big plays. Same thing for TCU. In that game where they lost, they just almost had zero pressure at times, and he was allowed to just think, and guys were able to eventually get open. So, to me, this is a chance for your front and your defensive line, specifically Romello Height and David Bailey, to really show off.
Yeah, I agree, and I think so much is made of the Avery Johnson run game. Of course, he came here and scored 5 touchdowns a couple of years ago, and that's a big deal. But I'm not saying we haven't dealt with it perfectly, but it's been something that we've been pretty good at handling this year. Again, not perfect, but we've done a pretty good job of setting edges and doing that kind of stuff. It's I think the called QB run type stuff is they talk a lot about fitting gaps and doing all that kind of stuff. We've got 2 pretty good linebackers running around there. Mm-hmm. Three if you want to call John Curry a third linebacker. Or
that's how I view it.
Works.
I know he's
yes.
You could the label is the star safety, but you essentially play him for the most part like you would a linebacker. And even whenever he's in coverage, it's more along the lines of a coverage linebacker. So
I love but I think the stat that you gave is interesting about them not having faced really high-end defenses.
No, they haven't. Statistically, the highest-ranked defense they've faced is Arizona, who comes in at 36 in the country, which I think would surprise a lot of people that Arizona is that high. But even then, they just the other one is Iowa State. And that was it. To be fair, an early version of Iowa State that was better than whatever this version of Iowa State. But either way, they're somewhere in the, can't remember specifically, high 40s, I think 47. And even then, both of those games, that offense struggled. And I wouldn't even say that they've feasted on some of the worst defenses like Baylor, because they did some things to lose that game. But it's been more they've won the past couple of weeks with their defense and with their special teams. So you're going to have to try to outclass them in those regards and then just play clean offensively. That's what I want to see from the offense.
And hopefully there's enough flow to Beren's game. I know it sounds like he's had 2 pretty good weeks of practice or last week, and he'll be able to sling it again this week. And so hopefully, let's face it, the defining moments of his career could be here in the next 5-6 weeks.
Sooner and Lubbock asked who y'all got tonight. I'll take the Chiefs.
Chiefs, yeah, I will too. Backup quarterback for Washington.
Chiefs by 14. I wanted to go more confident.
I like it.
I'll stay somehow reserved with a 2-touchdown win. That'll be here on Double T 97.3 High School Fan Zone over on 100.7 The Score.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.